Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into something that is absolutely fundamental for anyone doing web automation: Selenium locators. You know, if you've ever found yourself wondering how to get your tests to reliably find and click on things on a web page, well, this is exactly where it all starts.
So, to really get a grip on why locators are so important, let's kick things off with a simple analogy that I think makes it all click.
Okay, picture this. You've got a robot butler. Super cool, right? But if you just tell it, hey, go get the cup, what's it gonna do? It'll probably just stand there, confused. Which cup? The one on the counter? In the dishwasher? You have to be specific. Web automation is exactly like that. Our scripts are that robot, and they need a precise, crystal clear address to find anything on a web page.
So, the big question is, how do we give these super specific addresses? Well, it all starts by getting two key terms straight in our heads.
First things first, the web element. Honestly, it's simpler than it sounds. Just think of it as any individual piece of a web page. That search bar you type into, that's an element. The big submit button, yep, also an element. A tiny link in the footer, you got it, that's an element too. These are basically all the things our little robot butler needs to be able to find and interact with.
And that, right there, leads us perfectly to the locator. The locator is the solution. It's the actual address, the instruction we put in our code. It's how we tell Selenium, hey, go find that specific button, or I need you to type hello world into this exact text field. It's the command that points the way.
All right, let's get into the good stuff. Selenium is pretty awesome because it doesn't just give you one way to find an element. Nope. It gives you a whole toolbox full of strategies.
And inside that toolbox, there are 8 core locator strategies. That's right, 8 of them. And this flexibility is the secret sauce. It's what lets us handle pretty much any crazy layout or structure a website can throw at us. So let's break them down.
First up, we've got the heavy hitters, the ones you should always be looking for first: ID and name. The best way to think about an element's ID is like its social security number. It's supposed to be one of a kind on that page. Name is another really common one, especially for things inside forms. You know, like text boxes or radio buttons.
Then you have a whole group of locators that are more, let's say, descriptive. You can find an element by its style. That's the class name. Or you can find it by its type, like saying, hey, find me all the input tags on the page. And for links, it's even easier. You can find them by the exact text you see, or even just part of that text. Super useful.
And finally, we get to the power finders: CSS selector and XPath. These are the Swiss Army knives in our toolbox. When you run into an element that has no unique ID or name, these are your go-to. They let you build this incredibly precise path right through the page's HTML structure to find exactly what you're looking for. They are insanely powerful.
Okay, this right here, this is your cheat sheet. Seriously, it lays out all 8 strategies, what they look for, and the best time to use each one. You can see the trade-offs pretty clearly, right? An idea is your best bet for a stable, unique element, but something like tag name is way more generic. I'd recommend pausing here and grabbing a screenshot of this for later.
All right, so having 8 options is fantastic, but it obviously brings up a huge question. With all these choices, which one are you supposed to use, and when?
Answering this question well is what separates tests that just work from tests that are a total nightmare to maintain. But the good news is you don't have to guess. There's actually a really clear, simple hierarchy you can follow every time.
And here is that very strategy. It's a simple pecking order. Rule number 1, always, and I mean always, look for a unique ID first. It is the fastest and most reliable locator, period. If you can't find one, your next step is to check for a unique name attribute. And if you strike out on both, okay, then it's time to reach for those power tools, a well-written CSS selector or XPath. The other locators are great, but they're more for special cases, like using link text specifically for, well, links.
Okay, enough theory. Let's make this real. Here's a login form you've seen a million times. Our mission is simple. Tell our script to type a username into that first field. So where do we start? How do we find its address?
Your first move
and this should become muscle memory, is to go to your browser, right-click directly on that username field, and hit Inspect. This is going to pop open your browser's developer tools and take you straight to the line of code for that element.
And boom, there it is. The browser shows us the HTML, and you can see it right there highlighted for us, ID equals username. That's the jackpot. That's exactly what we were hoping to find. It's unique, it's descriptive, and it's right at the top of our hierarchy. This is the absolute perfect locator for this job.
So we found the ID, and that was pretty easy. But why do we care so much about this? Why does picking the right locator matter so deeply? Because, and this is key, this isn't just some minor technical detail, it's the entire foundation of reliable automation.
I want you to just let that sink in for a second. The stability of your entire automation suite rests on the quality of your locators. Every single test you write, every script you run, its chance of success or failure often boils down to how well you chose your locators. Good locators mean stable tests. Bad locators mean, well, they mean chaos.
And really, it all comes down to this. A good locator, like that unique ID we found, helps you build a robust test that can survive minor changes to the website's design. A bad locator, like some super complicated, messy XPath, creates a fragile test, a house of cards that's going to collapse the second a developer decides to move a button.
So, this brings us to one final critical question. We've figured out how to find these nice static addresses, but what happens when the web doesn't play nice? What do you do when you're dealing with dynamic web elements, where the IDs and other attributes are just generated randomly every single time the page loads? That, my friends, is the next level. And that's the true test of your locator skills.